How's the voice feeling today?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Well, let's see if we can get it sitting up high. How about some lip trills? From lip trills, let's go to a V. Can you sing on sing? Four, three. For a moment with that musical phrase. I know you're a thinking singer, so how are you thinking about, what are you thinking about as far as breathing, as far as producing sound, as far as musical phrasing? What are you thinking to do that phrase, or are you just singing the phrase?
I'm thinking to sing from my diaphragm.
Where's the diaphragm? Well, actually, it sits a little bit higher. It's right up underneath the rib cage, okay? So if the ribs are located here, you know where the lungs are, you know where our ribs are, so the diaphragm is going to sit kind of underneath those lower ribs down there. So the diaphragm sits a little higher. And with that being said, you know we like to sing a little, we like to breathe a little lower in our body. So instead of thinking about the diaphragm, let's think about the lower abs.
Okay.
So if this is the set of abs, if we go low, we're talking around the pelvis, the waist. Around there is where we want to be breathing. Can you put your hands there? Around there is what we want to think about, okay? But what else were you thinking about singing that musical phrase?
Well, starting off soft and then crescendoing.
So you did think about starting lean and moving through. Make sure that I hear that. And also that with the abs or with the low breath support, what were you thinking about as far as managing the breath?
I don't know.
Yeah, so the thing is that a lot of singers, a lot of times we think about, I need to make sure that I fill up when I breathe in. But the phrase itself is being sung on the breath. Therefore, you have to understand how to manage the breath that is coming out of your body.
Okay.
So we know how to get it in. That's called inhalation or inspiration. That gets in, this fills up. But what do you do when you're singing? Well, we want to try to keep this full, but without tension. We don't want to be pressing it out. It needs to be malleable. It needs to be, kind of like this. So in other words, we don't want but we also don't want I'm really struggling to keep my abs open. We just want it to be expand and sing on that expansion for as long as possible without forcing it. Try it. Keep some spring in your knees. Talk to me about that.
I felt like I was doing better with the dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt like I wasn't struggling to
Maintain the
Yeah.
breath. Yeah, and so it's felt easier, right? Well, that's what we want singing to be always. It's just easy. And so in order for singing to be easy, we have to think really calm with the breath. And if the phrase is that, now if I gave you a phrase and I said, but we didn't do that. I said the phrase is ya-da-da. So the breath that we take needs to be as easy as that.
Okay.
And we need to ride that breath in that particular manner. You just did it. Can we hum that? Let me give you a different one. So that's a long phrase, but you can make it. Got it? Let me take it up here. Okay. tongue out hum. That means that the tongue is just ever so slightly out of the mouth. You're not doing that. But I just want just a little bit of tongue out, okay? Not bad. So, just out of curiosity, before I go and say what is, why do you think I asked you to pull the tongue out?
I don't know.
Well, you have to understand the tongue is very long. It's longer than we think it is. So it's not what we just see in the mirror when we're brushing our teeth. Yes, it goes, it stretches all the way back here. And the thing is that sometimes when we hum, a lot of people try to make that, rich, what they think is operatic sound. So, or you give me the face that you make in choir, which is that,
Yeah.
and what it does is it depresses the back of the tongue down onto in the throat, and then it messes around with the larynx and the vocal cords and everything. So with that being said, we don't want to depress the back of the tongue. And one way for me to check that is just for you to have your tongue slightly out of your mouth, and it means the back of the tongue is should be at least free, okay,
Like more space.
uninhibited, and it helps this to be more spacious and not pressed down exactly. Now, with that being said, continue to float through the phrase.
Okay.
So instead of thinking, no pressing on that bottom note.
Okay.
Imagine that the space between the top note and the note beneath it is actually smaller than we think.
Okay.
So instead of the drop being, we might think, do you hear how that evens out? Just try it. I know you can do it.
Okay.
Good for you. Let's go down. Switch to ooh right here. Good. Start with the hum. That's fine.
Okay, okay.
Good. Last one. Okay. So now, one second. The purpose of that part of your warm up, everything that we've done so far was basically get your voice sitting high. Because I don't know if you've sung it all today. Have you sung it? Oh, well, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to make sure that the voice is sitting a little bit higher, that the breath is maintaining low. Isn't that crazy? So the breath stays down here, but the voice has to sit up here, high in the mask. And then also the last little exercise we did was to create a sense of a legato line. What does legato mean?
More fluid.
More fluid, more smooth, more connected. And so once we have that, one of the major tenets of bel canto, once we have that, then we can get into heavenly grass and try to think, my feet took a walk in heaven, instead of my feet took a walk. Okay? Let's see what we got.
Okay.
You can adjust to stand how you feel. Oh, go ahead and introduce yourself. Singer B.
Hi, I'm singer V, and I will be singing Heavenly Grass
Bye.
by Powell Bowles.
How'd you feel about that? Well, okay, tell me something or some things that you liked about your performance just now.
I thought that I sounded more fluid, like we were just talking about.
Okay.
I thought I did. I don't know. I didn't like how.
Oh, okay. We just jumped real quick to what we didn't like. Okay, so one of the things that you did like is that you felt that you sounded fluid, legato. Is there anything else that you liked about your performance just now?
Well, I thought my pitches sounded good. You know, I didn't, you know, go off pitch anywhere. I didn't think.
Do you feel like you were connected to the story?
No.
Well, what were you thinking about just now while you were singing?
I was more thinking about the actual, like, piece instead of thinking about the emotions of the piece, which I need to do.
Oh, okay. What is one thing that you would like to work on? Is there a certain section or anything like that you would like to work on?
No, I just think just basically more emotion and really singing through rather than...
Singing through, what a key phrase. Okay, so one thing that'll help you to sing through is, like you said, the emotion of the piece. What is this piece about anyway?
It's about someone who was up in heaven and then God told them that He wanted them to go back down to earth, and so the song is basically them saying that they wish they were back in heaven.
Okay, so it's almost like an angel falling from heaven to come down to save whomever or whatever, or to experience whatever, and longing to be back in that heavenly place. And it doesn't have to be literally an angel, but it can be if you want to picture that. So with that being said, give me an adjective, you know, a word to describe the feeling of that person. Longing. All right. So can we sing this with a bit of longing? We'll actually start at the beginning.
Okay.
And with longing, people feel there's an ebb and a flow. There's a sense of give and take. Can we get that in the vocal line? Let's see what happens. More importantly, sing the text. Express the text. Let's start where you come in. My feet. Make sure we're saying, I don't really want the diphthong, so I want my feet. My feet, almost M-A-H, my feet, okay. But it doesn't have to be so super southern. Okay. Okay.
My feet took a walk in heavenly ground.
Good, let's fix two things, two vowels. So when we say walk, can you say it to me? Walk.
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 Yes, it's almost like the L and the L is almost absent. So we stay on the A as much as possible, and then we go to the K. Okay. We keep everything tall. So can you do me a favor and put two fingers right here on the corners of your mouth, and just give me what you believe a tall mouth looks like this. without stretching. So I don't want the jaw to be just a simple look at me. Sing. Walk, walk, walk.
Walk.
Yeah, yeah. So it won't be my feet took a walk. My feet took a walk. Tall.
Okay.
Go for it.
My feet took a walk in heavenly grass.
And so inherently, you just fixed grass because you fixed walk. So just as walk is tall, grass will be tall, and also make sure that we watch in right after it. My feet took a walking. It won't be walking, walking. Last time.
My feet took a walking. Oh.
You want
Ready
to
to
do
go?
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My feet took a walk in heavenly grass. All day the sky shone clear as glass.
All right. Good, 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 good. Now we talked about that give and that flow. I mean that ebb and that flow, that give and that take. Why don't we give going toward the higher note? So let's not back off. So all day while the sky shone clear. All day while the sky shone clear as glass. Put your hands here right underneath your cheekbones. Sing that phrase for me and continue to let the air move faster as you approach the high note.
Okay.
Okay.
All day while the sky shone clear as glass.
Tell me about that.
I felt more my head voice.
So the notes seem like it flipped a little bit higher.
Uh-huh.
Can you sing this for me? That's good. That's good. Sing this for me. Shone clear eyes, and hold on to it like it's the last note of the piece. Okay.
Okay.
Shone.
Shone clear.
Yeah. And so play around with that word as. Play around with that. Shone clear. Ha ha. Just keep playing around with it. Hold it and see if you can play around with it so that we can get it to this most tallest, headiest position that doesn't feel like it's anywhere near the throat.
Okay.
Let's just see what happens.
All day while the sky shone clear.
Do you feel that? Can we put that in the whole phrase? Let's keep going. Let's do it again. Keep going. Nice calm breath. Good for you. So we'll stop there for recording purposes. We'll stop there, but just for review, can you tell me some of the things that we talked about?
Well, for higher notes, keep a taller and more, I guess, thinner and longer.
Okay, I'll go with that. So keep more space. The taller we keep, the more we purse the lips. Tall shapes keeps the space in the soft palate. It keeps the soft palate high. Okay, and we want the soft palate to be high so that the sound can travel right on out without being squeezed into, you don't want to squeeze into a small door.
Yeah.
Open up the door. And then as far as, what else were we speaking about?
The diaphragm, breathing from the diaphragm and not trying to force the air.
Well, be careful now. Where's the diaphragm again? Higher. But where do we want to really connect in our breath? Lower.
Right.
So think about, say this for me, the low abs.
The low abs.
Yeah, so we want to kind of think about the low abs, maybe the lower part of the back. Those are the waist,
Okay.
pelvis. Those are some images that you can think of as far as where to engage the breath.
Okay.
Okay? And instead of thinking we're breathing from somewhere, how about we're engaging a certain area? And that'll be the area that we're engaging. And continuously keeping that engaged as we're singing. That's called singing on the body. I think you did a fabulous job.
Thank you.
Let me turn this off.